You're watching Plant Identification Through Personal Investigation with Angeline Whitmire. This plant portrait is for pokeweed, Phytolacca americana. Pokeweed's winter phase can be quite striking. A large plant, visible in open fields or along roadsides, its light-colored skeleton remains visible throughout the winter months and into the next growing season. Here's a quick overview of the growing phases for pokeweed. First, the new plant arises in the spring. It grows taller and taller. Then it begins to develop its flower buds. The plant flowers, and the first flowers mature into berries as new flowers come along during the summer and fall. When cooler weather arrives, the plant's leaves die, and eventually the entire plant, other than the root, turns brown and dies. You can find pokeweed growing in open sunny locations throughout most regions of North America. It favors weedy spots, like the areas along the sides of a country road. Sometimes the plant grows as a single specimen. Frequently, it grows as part of large groups. Pokeweed can be 3 to 10 feet tall. Now, let's look closely at each growing phase. In the spring, new leaf shoots appear, rising from the previous year's roots. Or you may find a new plant sprouting from last year's seed. New plants sprout for many months during the spring and summer. Notice the stalk color. It may be green initially. However, it quickly turns red. Even as the plant grows taller, the smooth stalk has a greenish-red tone, which turns to a bright red. The red is striking in the fall months when the leaves turn yellow. Speaking of leaves, let's study them for a minute. The overall shape is ovate to lanceolate. The tip is likely to be more rounded in the older leaves, while younger leaves have a more pointed tip. Each leaf could be from 4 to 12 inches long. The venation is clearly pinnate, with a prominent central vein on the underside of the leaf. The margins are entire. The leaf blade looks a bit wrinkled or crinkled, and each leaf has a petiole connecting the leaf blade with the stem. Leaves alternate up the central stalk. Pokeweed's primary stalk spreads out at the top into many lateral branches. These upper branches begin to grow horizontally, and as the months go by, they may droop with the weight of leaves and berries. Looking at the lush grouping of leaves at the top of a pokeweed in late spring or early summer, we can see the beginnings of a budding inflorescence. It looks like rows of tightly packed corn kernels. Gradually, the individual flower buds emerge as the inflorescence grows longer. It now becomes clear that this inflorescence is a raceme of flowers. Each flower bud has a pedicel, connecting it to the peduncle of the raceme. In the background of this image, you can see another inflorescence beginning to emerge from the leaves. In the foreground, the flowers begin to bloom. The blooming occurs from the bottom of the inflorescence toward its tip. The flower sepals open to reveal the inner parts. Although it looks like the flower has petals, it actually has no petals. Instead, it has 5 sepals, creamy white with hints of pink. Similarly, the pedicels are usually pink. The center of the flower has a relatively large green ovary. The stamens are attached at the base of the ovary. As each flower is pollinated, the anthers drop from the stamens, leaving just the filaments. This process occurs within the inflorescence, from the bottom to the tip, in the same sequence as the prior blossoming. Notice how the inflorescence begins to droop and even hang toward the ground as it becomes heavier. The peduncle and pedicels are pink, to bright pink, to red in color. Although we have focused on the inflorescence growing at the top of the plant, pokeweed grows inflorescences from many points along its stem. Observe the shape of the green berry. It's nearly 1/2 inch in diameter. We can see the remaining portion of the stamens, the filaments, peeking out from the back of the berry. As the green ovary swells, the sepals remain attached to the newly developing berry. And now the green ovaries begin to turn into purple berries. This transition also occurs from the portion of the inflorescence closest to the pokeweed stalk and moves toward the inflorescence tip. The color changes from green to rosy red to dark purple. The dark purple berries can look almost black. Here's a cluster of dark purple berries with the characteristic red stems, peduncle, and pedicels of pokeweed. And here's a close view of the purple berries. Notice how they are now filled out and smoothly round in shape. Also, the sepals have turned a bright pink to match the color of the pedicels. During late summer, you can find pokeweed with all its reproductive phases in process at the same time. Flower buds, blooming inflorescences, green ovaries, purple-black berries, and dying leaves. While the leaves begin turning yellow or brown, the berries begin to shrivel. They wrinkle, and the berries turn brown before their pedicels turn color, as the pedicels remain red a bit longer. Then the entire cluster turns dark brown and dries up. If you have pokeweed growing in a place that you don't want it, so it's a weed for you, then you might try digging it up, only to find that the root is quite large and very deep. It's so deep that you are likely to cut the root with the shovel before you get deep enough to remove the entire root. In fact, that same root, or a remaining root piece that you just couldn't get out of the ground, will sprout a new plant with more than one central stalk during the next growing season. Let's look at 2 more images of pokeweed during the fall season. Here we see the overall shape of the plant with its top branches and central stalk. The smooth and strong stalk remains bright red for a while longer. Eventually, the entire plant turns brown and looks dead. The pokeweed berries drop to the ground, leaving the dried sepals on their pedicels. What remains is the dried plant material, standing through winter storms, or fallen over. And yet, remember that thick and deep root? Pokeweed will return in the spring. This is Angeline. Thank you for watching and learning about Phytolacca americana, also known as pokeweed. Visit identifythatplant.com for more images of pokeweed, for plant identification resources, and for information about how you can confidently master the skill of correct plant identification.